I did. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today's format will have Drew Bianco to lead off. Gavin Dugas will be after Drew, and then AJ Labas will be the final player for today. And then we'll have Coach Mainieri at approximately 3:30 or so. So again, you guys just want to indicate in chat if you have a question, and we'll just follow the order that you guys put that indication into the chat box. So we'll go ahead and get started with Drew, and Wilson, you may begin.
Hey, Drew, how you doing today? Hello?
Oh. Sorry, wait. Sorry, ask that again.
Hey, Drew, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Obviously, y'all played Tennessee once earlier this season, and it didn't go how you would have wanted it to. Close series, but got swept. How do you think this team has evolved or changed since that series?
I think we've changed a lot. I mean, but if you look back at that series, I mean, we got walked off twice in one day, which that sucked. But like that's one or two plays going our way, and we win that series. But I think we've evolved, but so has Tennessee. You know, that was like the second weekend of SEC play, and so we're not the same team, but neither is Tennessee. So even though I think we should have won that series, we still need to go into them like it's their new team because we're also a new team.
Yeah, hey Drew, it's Glenn here. You know, obviously you got you started this series at second base, and then you moved over to center field after Gio's injury. And I'm just curious, how much of a toll does that take on you? I mean, you're making all those plays, especially on Sunday and Monday against Oregon. I mean, just how big of an adjustment is it for you in a 24-hour span to go from thinking about all the things at second base to all the things out in the outfield?
Well, first of all, that just sucks for Gio. I mean, he worked his butt off to get back to us after he re-injured it at A&M, and I just feel bad for him. But about me going to center and playing second, I wouldn't say it takes a toll on my body or anything. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a baseball game. I don't really care what position I play. For being honest, I like the outfield a little bit more just because I think it's easier and more fun. It's not as much pressure, a ground ball being hit to you than having to throw it over. But, I mean, I'll play wherever, and it really doesn't even matter to me. Wherever coach needs to put me at, that's where I'll play.
Drew, kind of following up on that, I mean, you played in your career here first base, shortstop, second, outfield, pretty much everywhere. Is that something that you've always been capable of doing? Like, how did you kind of develop that ability to play pretty much anywhere on the field?
I guess that's just growing up. That's just what I did. I mean, when I first started playing baseball, I caught because, I mean, my dad caught and so did all my brothers. But then when I got around 10, I started playing with Ben, my older brother, and he caught and he was better than me. So I just started playing other positions. And ever since then, I mean, I mostly played infield in high school, but I always knew I could play the outfield. And then when I came here, Coach Mainieri gave me a chance in the outfield. And so now it looks like I'm playing both. I need to talk him in to let me play all 9 one game, but I don't think that's the right time right now.
Drew, has anyone in your family been talking about you and your dad reuniting in Omaha possibly next week?
Yeah. I mean, we joke about it. He called me after we won, and him and my mom FaceTimed me with my sister, and they congratulated me and everything. And he told me that he wasn't going to be able to make it, but that my mom and my sister and my brother would be coming to the Super Regional. I just told him, hey, I'll see you in Omaha. We'll be okay. So, I mean, we joke about it, but that would be really, really cool if we both could make it. And it'd be a good family vacation, no doubt.
Yeah. Hey, Drew.
I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
Okay, one more, Glenn. Thanks. Drew, do the fans at Knoxville during the series there, were they any more wild or nasty than other places you've been to, or even, LSU to the other team?
I wouldn't say that. I think when we went there, it was just a little. I mean, it was our first road series for all. We're a young team. It was our first road series in the SEC. But another thing, I just didn't think there was, with it only being 25% capacity, everything wasn't filled, and so like you could hear what they were saying a lot more clearer than where you would if it was 100% capacity at Mississippi State or Tennessee or anywhere. So I think there was less people, you could literally hear every word they were screaming and everything. So I wouldn't say they were more hostile or anything like that. I mean, they were just fans being fans.
Hey, Drew. Yes. I mean, obviously you've been in and out of the lineup throughout your entire career here, but, you've obviously been, more of a staple here over the last month or so. I was just curious, though, to have that 2-run homer in the Oregon game. I mean, just how big of a moment was that for you to kind of come through for your team in that clutch of a situation there, after you've spent so much of your career just not knowing on a day-to-day basis whether or not you were going to play?
Yeah, I mean, it felt really good in the moment to hit the homer. I wasn't really thinking about the pass and haven't been playing or anything. I was just happy that I hit the 2-run homer to put us in the lead in a regional championship. But I mean, yeah, looking back on it, it wasn't the easiest trip through 3 years or whatever. But I mean, I'm glad where I am now, and I'm glad that we're doing good, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, Drew. Going back to the road series stuff, y'all won 4 road series in the SEC. Why have y'all turned into a good road series team? It seems like y'all really thrive on the road. Does it just feel like it's y'all against the world, so to speak?
Yeah, I don't know why. We do play really well on the road, but I would just say we just go into there, take it one game at a time, and I think we especially started playing good on the road just because the young guys just started to perform well, and they kind of grew up fast. They're not, Dylan and Trey, they're freshmen, but they grew up. They're no longer freshmen in my eyes, and I think that's why we started playing well at the end. And we had some veteran guys step up too, with like McHale, and we joke around saying road dogs, but I guess we really have been road dogs this year, and hopefully we can just keep that same mentality going into next weekend.
Drew, we obviously saw Gavin just have an incredible 2-day stretch, kind of after breaking out of that rut. How would you describe what he does for y'all offensively and how much of a catalyst he is for your entire lineup?
Yeah, Gavin's had a great year. Especially those last 2 days were really, really good. But I mean, I couldn't be happier for him having the rough 2 years that he had in his career. And then now he's, in my opinion, the MVP of our offense. I mean, he just gets us going whenever we need that big hit or a big run. He seems to always get it, and sometimes more than one time in a game. And he's been huge for us this year. And I think he's been kind of slept on throughout the national media because of Dylan and Trey, but he's right there with them carrying our team in the offensive categories. And I mean, he's about to have a 20 home run season, and that doesn't happen a lot. So I mean, I'm happy for him, and he's definitely a main reason where we are right now.
Sure, I got a couple if you don't mind. How much pride do you take in your versatility? Now that we know you like the outfield, more than the infield, but is that something that kind of coming up, you're like, this is one of my strengths, and I need to flex it?
Yeah, I mean, I take a lot of pride into it. I mean, I think that's just has helped me a lot to get in the lineup more this year. It's just I could play any position, and I take a lot of pride in that. So there's not just if you're the shortstop, there's only one position you can play. I take pride that I can play all 8 if I have to, and I think that's one reason why I've gotten a lot of chances, and I like to think I'm pretty good at it. And so, I mean, I wouldn't say I flex it, but I definitely take a lot of pride into it and practice really hard for it.
And then my other one was just you talked about the relationship with your dad. Obviously, it's probably a help to your career. Do you feel like you miss it, though, when you see other guys get out of the stadium and, hug their dads and stuff? Has that been something that you felt you missed in your career?
I mean, I guess, but I never really think about it like that. I mean, growing up, my dad, he tried making as many high school games and travel ball games as possible, but I mean, that's what he does for a living, and he can't always make it. And I get that there's sacrifices, but there's also a lot of pros for my dad being a Division I coach. I got to hit and work out in their facilities growing up and get to see college baseball up close. So there's pros and cons. And one of the cons is he doesn't get to make all my games, but I know he watches the games after, records them and watches my bats and stuff. So he's a coach, but he's also my dad. And so I don't think about it that stuff too much.
Does he coach you? Do you guys go over tape?
He doesn't have a really good coach mode. A lot of people ask me that. He's just a dad, and he's just like, hey, he always sends a text, hey, you played well today. Or if I went over, he'll just be like, hey, keep fighting. I watched your bats. You're good. He doesn't really ever go coach mode. And I'm glad he doesn't. I get enough coaching here, and I don't want to have to, when I call him to tell me everything, he'd probably piss me off. So I'm glad he doesn't do that.
What kind of role has your mom developed into? Yeah, just the last one. How's your mom kind of filled in for both of them?
She's a mom. I call her a lot more than I call my dad. I'll be honest there. She's awesome though, and she's just always been positive and telling me to stay with it and everything. And then she's coming down to Knoxville this weekend to watch me, so I'm excited to see her.
Is that all? Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, y'all can get started with questions for Gavin.
Yeah. Hey, Gavin. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people learned this last, win against Oregon was, you guys won by scoring 9 runs with, Trey and Dylan going a combined 1 for 11. I mean, just what does that say about this roster and about this lineup that you guys are just building more confidence as these games go along to where you can win without, having your stars necessarily have to carry you guys to that win?
At the end of the day, it was a little tough. You would love to have Dylan and Trey succeed. You love seeing them succeed in those big situations. But also at the end of the day, it's really good for us. It's a good standpoint to run with because whenever a bunch of guys like that can come up and step up whenever like you said, our guys aren't able to maybe perform that day. It's baseball; it happens, and whenever those guys are able to step up, that's always a plus, and it's really good moving forward. And it's a great opportunity for us to kind of build off of for sure.
Yeah, Gavin, I know you're happy to get to a super regional against anybody, but playing Tennessee, I mean, the way y'all lost those games and how close they were and how heartbreaking they were. When you saw this bracket, I know you didn't look ahead, but you were thinking, be nice to get another shot at them. Are y'all does that kind of play into this a little bit? That you're glad to have another shot at them?
I guess you could say that. Honestly, I'm glad to be in this situation, no matter who we're playing. It's pretty cool that we are playing Tennessee. Like you said, we kind of had a little rough patch against them this year. At the end of the day, we don't care who we play. We just know that we got to win 2 games to get to Omaha, and we're going to take it 1 game at a time, and we're going to show up to Knoxville and do what we need to do. So
I asked Drew this question. I asked you this question. Why have y'all become such a good road team as far as in the SEC? Y'all won 4 series on the road. What happened?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what it is. I think these guys are pretty comfortable on the road, and we've obviously been doing that all season. And at the end of the day, I really don't have an answer to that besides the fact that we were just able to be very successful up to this point, and hopefully we continue to do that when we go to Tennessee.
Gavin, kind of, obviously that last Tennessee series was a long time ago. How have you seen your team sort of evolve and change since then to where y'all are now compared to where the team you were at that time?
It definitely left a bad taste in our mouth, and it's something we never wanted to experience again. And I think that kind of it was like a punch across the face, and it was able to kind of boost us in a good way and help us to realize that it's really hard to win SEC baseball games, and that's where I think a lot of guys were able to understand, like, SEC is a hard conference to play in, and every game is really important, and every game is really hard to win, and that's one thing that I think these guys understand and have learned so far this season. That, like I said, our backs have been against the wall like all year, going 1-9 at the start of the season in SEC play, and that kind of helped us understand that every game matters, and that's what we're going to run with and how we're going to handle ourselves, and it gives us the understanding for each and every game to each and every play is important. So.
I'll take it a step forward, I guess. Matt, can you mute that? Sure. How much has the team
I'm ready. You ready,
especially Mike? This past weekend? How much did the team grow up, do you think, this past weekend? Because it seemed like it got, like you alluded to earlier, maybe some of your hitters weren't playing, but everybody stepped up, and it seemed like the veterans really kind of filled in the holes.
I think as a whole, our team kind of was able to kind of come together a little bit more, a little bit stronger, emotionally, physically, mentally. It kind of brought us together more than most would see or say or understand, because that was something that was pretty special that we did, and obviously not a lot of LSU teams in the past have done that. I mean, not a lot of LSU teams have gone on the road for regionals, but at the end of the day, we did something that hasn't been done in this program in a very long time, and I think that brought this team together in a special way, and I think that's something that we'll be able to carry with us not only into this weekend but the rest of our lives.
Gavin, you had said, I think it was after the game on Sunday, that earlier that day, I think it was, you and Coach Mainieri had a conversation about trying to get you to relax again, which is, as you said, always kind of the key for you. When exactly did that conversation happen, and how much did it help you to kind of have that in your ear again and help you sort of lock back in?
It happened after my first at bat, actually against Oregon. I struck out looking on a fastball. I think it was right down the middle, to be honest with you. It wasn't very competitive at bat. Very, very, I guess you could say very bad on my part. But Coach kind of just gave me a little pick me up, and he said what he needed to say, and everything that he said to me was right. And from that point on, I was able to just kind of lock it in and refocus, and it kind of brought me a new energy, a new drive, a new fire, and I just ran with that.
Could you expand maybe a little bit more on what the general message, which I know, words y'all might keep between you, but was it trying to get you to relax, or was it trying to like really get you motivated? Like, what was sort of the general sentiment, what he was trying to get you?
He was just pretty much saying that he believed in me. He understands the type of player that I am. He knew kind of what words to say to kind of get me locked back in, I guess you could say, just to get me back in the game, get my mind right, just to get me to refocus.
Any more?
Gavin, Drew. Yeah, one more. Drew mentioned that since there was only 25% fans in Tennessee last time, he could hear everything the fans were saying. Do you remember anything what they said, or about what they were saying, if you can't repeat it?
I'll just let that be pushed away. There's not really much that I'm able to share after that. There were some pretty tough things in Tennessee that were said, and I mean, that's just part of the game. If you don't come to LSU not expecting that to happen, then you're not coming to have fun. That's what gets you going as an LSU baseball player, and that's just part of the game, and it's what makes the game so awesome. So yeah, it was definitely a fun experience, and it was great to experience it that first weekend when we went, and I'm excited to see what comes our way when we get there this weekend.
Thanks.
A quick follow-up on Drew, if I could. His versatility has been so helpful at times this year, and especially now with Gio likely out this weekend. I guess he would be playing center. How helpful is that for y'all to have a guy who can step in and kind of replicate Giovanni's range? Because Drew's sort of sneakily fast out there and makes a lot of diving catches in center field.
It's awesome that Drew is able to do what he does. To be honest, I don't really see many players able to handle the way he's handled it. being able to play the infield so well and going out and making great reads in the outfield. He's such a good outfielder. It's insane the improvements he's made throughout his career and how he's continuing to grow each weekend. But yeah, at the end of the day, it sucks, man. I feel so bad for Gio. I can't even imagine what he's been going through lately. He just can't catch a break. But luckily, we have Drew who's able to step up like that, and he's our Swiss Army knife, like some people say. He's able to do what we need him to do, and when called upon, he's ready. There's no hesitation in him. He's always ready to go. So that's what I love about him.
Is that all? Thank y'all.
So next up will be AJ Labas as soon as he gets in here. And then after AJ, we'll have Coach Mainieri. Just a heads up for a video photo opportunity tomorrow. The team will be leaving from the stadium at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, leaving on the buses for the airport tomorrow afternoon.
Y'all can start with questions for AJ.
AJ, the whole Coach Mainieri dynamic, y'all went through the regional with it and stuff like that. Is that still something in the back of y'all's minds, a motivating factor? Trying to get in now you're not trying to just win a regional, you're trying to get in back to Omaha. Is that a big thing? Or I know when you're out on the mound or you're in the field, it's not something that's on your mind. But when you're not, when you're preparing, what kind of a factor is that?
I think it's a pretty big factor because for us, it's like a motivation thing for him to sit him out on top for one last run and make it to Omaha for him one last time before he retires. So I think it's a big factor for us and just motivational factor to help boost us and boost our confidence in order to help him get to Omaha one more time.
How much better do you feel now that you got that, outing under your belt, confidence-wise and physically moving forward?
I feel a lot better after that outing on against Gonzaga. I was back to my old self. My ball was moving like how I was supposed to, and just filling up the zone with 3 pitches and getting ahead of the hitters. So after that outing, it was a big confidence boost for me, and looking forward to bringing that confidence into this weekend when we go up to Knoxville.
Yeah, AJ, I mean, following up on that, what sort of led that to you? Because it had been a rough, month, the final month of the regular season. Did it kind of help to have just like a break, or was there something specific that you were working on to get back to your form?
I feel it's a little bit of both. Like me and AD both sat down and like talked to each other all the time over this break. It was like 2-week span where I didn't throw in a game. And we saw that like I was getting on the side of the ball more instead of like staying behind it, which was causing my ball to leak back over the middle of the plate. So I was one of the main focuses was just staying behind the ball over these last 2 weeks and just making sure that the ball's doing what it's supposed to and not leaking back over the plate and just staying through it more.
Hey, AJ, as a starter, I mean, to watch, the relief performance like Javen Coleman or Garrett Edwards over the last weekend, just how much confidence are you guys as a staff, just having right now? I mean, obviously a lot of those guys stepped up for you and, when things weren't, maybe going your way. And then, obviously they stepped up this last weekend as well. Just what has that told you about the makeup of this pitching staff?
So like the makeup of this staff is just unbelievable. Like the makeup that everyone has on this staff, it's like the moment's never too big or never too small for the guys on the team. And we just never let anything get to us while we're on the mound. It's just, we know what we're supposed to do out there. And like AD's prepared us since this fall, like what he expects out of us and like what he wants us to do out there. So just one of those things where like we've been prepared for it all year, and we continue to do that.
AJ, after the Tennessee series, after that, the final games there, you said that y'all just weren't getting the timely hits. The bullpen situation maybe needed to get figured out. How much do you feel like those things are kind of coming now? And like, how much do you think this team has sort of evolved since that series, which was obviously a while ago?
I feel like this team's done a complete 360. It's because like whenever we played them beginning of the year, like I said, it felt like we just wasn't getting those timely hits or making that big pitch when we needed to. And it seems like now we're getting timely hits all the time with 2 outs or like runs in scoring position. We're getting them in, and then the guys in the bullpen are the starting pitchers are coming up big and going deep into games, and then the guys in the bullpen are just coming with those big pitches whenever they need to. So I feel like we've just done a complete 360 since the last time we played them.
What sort of led to that? Or was it just sort of needing time to, because y'all obviously had such a young team, needing time to kind of gain experience, or was there something else that kind of led to all this?
I feel like it was a little bit of inexperience, just guys trying, like the moment was a little bit too big for some guys, I feel like, but now I feel like everyone's finally like, we're playing loose and relaxed right now. So this is one of those things where guys know they're good and like they're playing like that and like they're acting like it also. So I feel like now like the moment's not too big for anyone and they're not trying to do too much while they're at the plate or on the mound.
I got one. Gavin just called Drew the Swiss Army knife of the team. How critical has what he's been able to do and his versatility been for the success of this team here in the back end of the season?
It's been amazing to see what Drew's been able to do for us and like how much he's helped us out playing center field or coming and playing second. So it's huge for us with having guys like Drew on the team because he's just one of those guys he's willing to do anything for the team and make the team better by doing anything that like Coach Mainieri asked him to do. Like whenever Gio got hurt, he went out and played center the rest of the weekend, and he made a bunch of like spectacular catches. And some of the catches, like we were like sitting out in the bullpen, we were like, how in the world did he make that? So it's like just having guys like Drew and just knowing like how hard he works and how much he dedicates his life to baseball. It's really important for us on the team.
On Gavin too, I mean, obviously he's been so critical for y'all all year. But then obviously had those incredible 2-day stretch. Is it sort of one of those things where like he comes up and you feel like you're going to get the hit that you need? Is that kind of where it's at this point, that he's built that confidence amongst you guys whenever he comes to the plate?
Yes, absolutely. Like with Gavin, like I feel like whenever Gavin comes up to the plate, he's going to come up clutch and have a big hit for us in some way. He just has a really good eye at the plate and like knows what he wants to do at the plate, and like he has a super solid approach up there. So we all have like super good confidence in Gavin when he comes to the plate and like come up clutch or come up with a huge hit whenever we need it.
What is it that makes him such a good hitter?
I feel like just his approach, like he knows what he's trying to do, like when he's at the plate, and just he knows what he's looking for in like certain counts, and he just goes in there and attacks fastballs. And so I feel like that's what makes him so dangerous at the plate is whenever he gets in the box, he already knows like what he's looking for and how to approach the pitcher.
Any more questions for AJ? Thank y'all.
All right, guys, I'm going to go grab Coach Mainieri. It should just be a few minutes.
How was Eugene, Wilson? Wilson, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. It was good. Yeah, it was a little bit chilly. Kind of overcast most of the weekend, but you wouldn't have thought that it was June out there. But it was a great weekend. I mean, didn't get to see too much of the city, but what I did see of it, I mean, everything is just trees and green, and everything's really clean out there.
So the campus is not really in the middle of the city. It's kind of out there, or what?
No, it's kind of there. There's like a little bit of a separation. It's not like it's right on the edge of downtown, but it's pretty much mixed into the city. There's like a slight separation, but it's not out in the boonies or anything like that.
Cool.
Their athletic stuff is not in the, like, right next to campus. It's like across the river, and the main campus is on the other side of the river. We should all just hope that LSU schedules a home and home with Oregon at some point, because Autzen looks really cool.
Rabs, did you go on the trip with me to Eugene?
And it's unbelievable.
Well, I had to. I saw that Paschal High School was right next.
I think it started with questions for Coach.
Yep. Sorry.
Thank you for your patience. Sorry about that. Coach. I had a former player drop in on me just now.
Well, we were chatting.
Nice little visit with Hal.
After you interrupted me, Coach. I will get back in my mute box.
Well, I guess I can get us started here.
Who's that?
Wilson. Hey, it's Wilson. Obviously, y'all get to play Tennessee again. At that time, you said y'all were a little bit snake bit. Obviously, 2 walk-off losses and 4 runs separating the whole series. But just how do you think your team has sort of evolved and changed in the months since you last played this team?
Well, that was the second weekend of SEC play. So the only SEC experience that many of our guys had was the one weekend against Mississippi State. And, they were still pretty wide-eyed and didn't really, really understand the SEC quite yet. I thought we competed really hard there. I thought we were growing up right before my eyes in Tennessee. Tennessee's got a really good ball club. I mean, an outstanding team. And that's not an easy place to play. The ballpark is a home run hitter's paradise, but they have a tremendous pitching staff. That's the thing that separates Tennessee. They've got home run hitters. They've hit 92 home runs. But the thing that separates them from a lot of teams in our league is their pitching is really good. I mean, the ballpark's small for both teams, yet their pitching staff has an earned run average in the low 3s. They may have, I don't know if they did, but they may have led the SEC in pitching. I'm not even sure. So we went up against a really good pitching staff, but yet when we pitched against them, the ballpark was small and they had home run hitters, and it was a tremendous challenge. And yet I thought our kids competed really, really well. The first game that we played, I thought Marceau pitched his heart out. They scored 2 runs. I'm sorry, Scott. Scott, are you trying to talk to me? I'm sorry. I see your lips moving, but I couldn't hear you. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I was speaking to someone else.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Marceau pitched his heart out, and they got 2 runs in 1 inning. They had a runner at first, and it basically hit a single to center, and our center fielder tried to make a diving catch. The ball went to the wall for a triple, and then the second runner scored on a strikeout pass ball, and basically it was a 2-1 game until they got a run late in the game and made it a 3-1 game, and then the second game. Man, I remember Dugas hit a big home run late in the game to give us the lead, and Ty Floyd pitched an electric 8th inning, and we're 3 outs away from winning, and then the lightning came, and we had to delay the game until the next day and kind of stop the momentum of the game. And even still, we were 1 strike away from winning when their kid got a base hit with 2 strikes in the 9th inning to tie the ball game, and then we lost on a home run that we thought hit the yellow line and didn't really leave the ballpark, as I recall. And then the third game, I thought A.J. Labas pitched a really good ball game, and we ended up losing in an extra inning walk-off way. So, they were 3 really good ball games. I thought their team was outstanding. and our team was still growing up, and yet we competed really hard with them. So, the credit to them, they found a way to win the close ones, and we didn't. So, we took it and, just, had to use it as a growing experience. They took 3 victories and went on to win the Eastern Division title. And hopefully we've become a better team as the year has progressed because of those experiences. The learning experiences sometimes come in painful ways, and that was certainly a painful weekend for us.
Yeah, Paul.
Who's next?
I'll go and speak. Y'all won 4 SEC road series this year. Y'all seem to play just much better on the road. Is there any particular reason why that you see looking at stats or anything?
Ron, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. I wish I could give you an answer, but not just the 4 SEC series, but our midweek games. We won at UL in Lafayette. We won at UNO. This regional. We beat Oregon twice on their own home field. I can't really give you an answer why. The kids are starting to take an awful lot of pride in it, though. I can tell you that. They refer to themselves as the road dogs, and they huddle up and start barking like dogs and stuff. And it's kind of cute. They're taking a lot of pride in it. I told them, I've had some really great teams at LSU that didn't play as well as these guys have played on the road. And I wish I could explain why, but I can't. They just seem to play with a lot of confidence and play loose. And, Kentucky was not a ranked team, but I can tell you that we've had some awful experiences at Kentucky through the years. That's a tough place to play and win. We went to Ole Miss, which it's like walking into the Coliseum, in the dark ages. And, we played 3 great ball games there. Texas A&M is not, one of the most, favorable places to play in our league. And we went there and won. Auburn, with their unique dimensions of their outfield fence, and we won there. So I can't explain to you exactly why, but I'm glad we did. I'm glad we have. And hopefully we can continue to play well on the road this coming weekend. I'll leave it up to the experts, you guys, to figure out why it happens.
Yeah. Hey, Coach. That last game against Oregon, you guys won 9-8 when, your 2 top hitters all season when it combined 1 for 11. I'm just curious as to the confidence this lineup 1 through 9 is playing with right now, and, how important, it was for a lot of those guys to come through with some clutch hits and that timely moment for you guys.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, Glenn. 1 for 11. That was Morgan and Cruz. Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, obviously, Gavin Dugas, who's been one of our top hitters, had a big night. But yeah, Drew Bianco had the big 2-run homer. That was huge. We had a lot of big hits that night. But if you're going to win in the postseason and you're going to win in some tough environments, it can't be a 2-man team. You're going to need contributions from a lot of guys. And I think the history of sports, the history of collegiate sports or pro sports, whatever, somebody that's not necessarily let's just say the unheralded guys, so to speak, the guys that haven't been the headline getters, grabbers all year, always seem to step up and have their moments. It's been the history. It's what makes sports so intriguing to a lot of people. You just never know who's that guy gonna be that's gonna emerge and do something extraordinary. And we don't know who it's going to be this weekend for us. It could be somebody that you don't expect. I'm sure that if all of you sat around at a table before we went out there, how many of you would have predicted that Javen Coleman was going to give us those 6 innings, or that AJ Labas was going to pitch 8 innings, or that Drew Bianco was going to hit a 2-run homer in the 7th inning or 6th inning to give us a lead in the championship game, or hit that how about that 2-run double he hit to tie the ball game against that against Central Connecticut State, the game that, or is it Gonzaga? I don't even remember. They're all blurred to me now. When he hit the 2-run double to tie the game in the middle of the game, the one down the left field line. That was a huge hit that he got. So, you know, it just, that's the way sports are. You just never know who can step up and do it. And that's why it's important to have a good player in every spot in the order, so that there's the potential that somebody can be a hero for you.
I wanted to ask you, does your neck and back tend to bother you when you're having a stressful game, a close game, and does it feel better after you win a game, like you know, like over the weekend?
Well, right now my neck is hurting me a lot. I don't know if that's stress by talking to you guys or not. During the games, I try not to think about it too much because my mind is pretty occupied. Yeah. When we win, it doesn't seem to hurt quite as bad as when we lose. I will admit to that, at least for a few minutes after the game is over. So I don't know if your question is really serious, Glenn, or not.
No, I was serious. Urban Meyer dealt with that.
It hurt. It hurt. Is that right? Does he have neck issues too?
No, he had other issues, but it tended to be worse in a stressful end of the game.
Yeah, no, I don't notice it when it's really the intense times of the game. I don't really notice my neck because my focus is so great on having to make decisions and picture, you know, thinking about a batter or two ahead and decisions I have to make. And, you know, I'm so focused on what's going on. You could probably hit me in the head with a bat and I wouldn't even feel it, you know, because you're just so focused on what's going on and what you're going to do. And, you know, you have different scenarios that might evolve in front of you and what you're going to do if scenario A, B, C, or D happen. So I just put everything else out of my mind. I have people saying to me all the time, "Oh, did you hear that coming from the stands, or did you notice this or that?" And I'm like, no, I didn't notice anything. You know, you're so focused on what you have to do doing your job that you don't notice anything. And I honestly don't even notice, you know, anything on my pain on my body or any, you know, you're just so into what you have to do in doing your job that's probably the one time all day when I don't even notice my neck or my head or whatever it is, because you just feel so geared into doing what you need to do to help your team be successful.
Oh, what did Drew Bianco do to get on the field? I mean, these last few weeks. I mean, obviously, we know the story you tell us about him. I mean, he was in the transfer portal and he came back, but what did he do to improve to get on the field?
Well, Ron, in all honesty, nobody really, you know, of the options, nobody really took the bull by the horns and emerged so well above the other guys that, you know, it was kind of a toss-up between a few guys as far as who should play. So I was kind of rotating different guys and waiting for somebody to kind of take the proverbial bull by the horns and emerge and say I should play. So ultimately, I just decided to take Drew and stick with him because, look, he wasn't hitting consistently, but he did so many other things. You know, I've said this many times. I think Drew Bianco is our best base runner. He's a pretty good base stealer, but he's certainly our best base runner. Like reading a ball in the dirt and taking an extra base, just reacting on balls that are hit to the outfield. You know, he's just got really good instincts running the bases, and he basically got us a run on his own the other day. Remember when he stole the base? Well, that was on a 3-2 pitch, which is effectively a hit and run. If the batter swings and misses at strike 3, you expect the runner to get thrown out stealing, because he shouldn't get a good jump, because he should be telling himself at first base, I can't get picked off. The coach is playing the percentages that it's either going to be ball 4 or the batter is going to put the ball in play. You don't expect a strikeout. He's probably going to throw a fastball right down the middle because he doesn't want to walk the batter. So you're expecting the batter to put the ball in play, and you're just starting the runner to stay out of the double play. So you expect the runner to get thrown out stealing if your batter strikes out. If he takes a called third strike, you don't expect him to swing and miss at a fastball, right? Unless he swings at a bad pitch. So our batter swings right through the fastball, and I'm thinking, oh, no. Now it's going to be a double play, which I'm trying to avoid, but he's going to throw him out stealing. Well, Drew steals the base. They challenged the call, but he was safe. Well, then there's a ball in the dirt. He takes third base, and there's a ball in the dirt, and he scores. And a typical Drew Bianco. He made something happen. He stole the base, took second, took third, and then took home. Scored on the other wild pitch. Now, maybe anybody would have scored on those 2 wild pitches, but I'm just saying that's typical Drew. He always seems to be in the middle of the action. Then you can play him at second base. He plays a really good second base. I put him out there in center field. Hey, don't forget about the diving catch they made with the runner in scoring position to save a run. Don't forget about the catch he made in left center field to keep a rally from getting started. I mean, listen, if that guy could just hit 280, he'd be considered one of the best players in the league because he does all the other things. But, he's been, a 220 hitter, unfortunately. But he still has the ability to hit a ball out of the ballpark. He still has the ability to hit that big 2-run double. He just hasn't been a real consistent hitter over the long haul. But he still has the ability to still step up and get a big hit, because he is physical and I just said to myself, hey, look, Drew usually gets his money's worth. What I mean by that is he's an aggressive hitter. And if a guy's going to strike out, at least he's going to take his rips up there. I can handle that. I just don't like it when guys are passive up there. If they're going to go down swinging. So I know Drew's going to do that. And I think he does everything else in the game really well. So I just decided I'm going to go with him. And, he's not hitting for a hugely high average, but he does so many other things well that when he does hit, I look at it kind of like it's lanyap. He does the other stuff really well. And when he hits it, it really makes us a better team.
Jump in there, Scooter.
Paul, I want to ask more about Tommy had said that on his giving you lineup suggestions, he's constantly in your ear all the time. If you could expand on that a little bit, has he made suggestions in the past that we don't know about? And just from the family standpoint of this weekend and moving forward, do you think they're enjoying it probably less than you? Are they the ones that are actually stressing out about, your next game, your last game could be, any moment?
That's funny. Thanks, Matt. So I've coached for 39 years, and my son is, he's 26 now or 7. I can't remember. My oldest son is 37. Hey, I talk to my sons more than anybody. I used to talk to my father more than anybody. Yeah, I always run lineups and thoughts about the team by all my family members and all my best friends and all my staff and everybody else. I like to hear different people's thoughts all the time. And I don't always use them, believe me, but I always listen to them. Sometimes people that are not as close to the team, that aren't there every day, they see things more clearly than the people that are with the team all the time. You get to know people's personalities and you're with them all the time. Sometimes stuff that's most obvious comes from people that see things from a distance. I used to say this to when I was a coach at the Air Force Academy. I would sit in the 10th row behind the football bench But I lived amongst all the football coaches on the base at the Air Force Academy. We lived in a cul-de-sac together. And I used to tell them things that I would see. I didn't go to practice every day. I didn't know all the players, you know, but I would sit in the stands on game day and I would tell them things that I would see on the bench that was good information for them to know. And we would talk about this as coaches, that sometimes input can come from people that aren't that close to the team, that understand, you know, chemistry of teams and so forth. But you know, they're fresh eyes, so to speak. And so I like to hear people. When I was the baseball coach at St. Thomas University, I had a student worker that used to tell me things about the team. He didn't know the players, but he would tell me, "Oh, did you notice that so-and-so slammed his helmet down after he struck out and, you know, then went and pouted on the end of the bench?" And I didn't see that because I was so geared about coaching the team. Sometimes you hear stuff from other people, and I always valued those little nuggets of information. So yeah. So anyway, I made a deal. Tommy said to me, "Dad, you always talk about all the input that Nick gives you. You never talk about the input that I give you." So the other day, I had to give Tommy a little credit with the media, you know, after the ball game. But that was a true story. You know, I woke up that morning and we're really stagnant offensively against Georgia, and then we were really stagnant against Gonzaga that first game. And we woke up that morning against Central Connecticut State, and Tommy came over to my room and I was sitting there and I said, "I got to shake up the lineup today just for the sake of shaking things up, just to get us out of this rut, you know." And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I got to change some guys around in the order a little bit, do something different. And that's when he made the suggestion. He said, "Well, why don't you go back to what you did at the beginning of the year?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You know, hitting Cruz at the top of the order." And I started thinking about it. And the reason I hit Cruz at the top of the order at the beginning of the season was, hey, like George Springer. Remember I used to talk about how George Springer would lead off a game with a home run or a double, maybe. And I thought, well, that's what we need a spark right away in the first inning. If Cruz can lead off the game with a home run and get us on the board right away, or at least an extra base hit, maybe that'll loosen up the team. And so the more I thought about it, I went and took a shower, you know, I was thinking about it. I came back out. I said, "You know what? I think I'm going to do that, Tommy." And sure enough, Cruz leads off the game with a home run and really kind of loosened up our team. And from there, we've swung the bats pretty good the rest of the weekend. So I had to give him credit, right? In answer to your other question, though, Matt, when I was making this decision about whether or not to retire or not, one of the things that made me hesitant to do it was how it would affect the rest of my family. Because, you know, that's all they'd known in their life was being Coach Mainieri's son or daughter. And whether they wanted it to be or not, it was part of their identity. And they would live and die with the results of the games because, you know, they love their father and they know how much it meant to him and how much it affected him. And they would live and die with me. And I didn't know if it was such an important part of their life that the void would be so great in their life, or would it be a relief for them not to have to live and die with it either. So I had to discuss it with all of them on how it would affect them. I mean, I knew that my career would have to come to an end at some point, whether it was now or next year or 2 years from now or 3 years from now when my contract expired, you know. And what they all told me was that they only wanted me to be healthy and happy, and that the reality was that they would actually feel a little relief in their own lives, not having the ups and downs of knowing that I was dealing with the ups and downs as well. So once I knew that it wasn't going to negatively impact their lives, me not being a coach anymore, it was easier for me to make the decision for myself.
Can I get in now? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, go.
I don't know how y'all felt, but I don't think very many people expected y'all to come out of that regional. I'm just wondering what kind of adrenaline shot that gave the team. And if you don't mind, I'd like you to frame your answer as to the difference in the flight going out there and what the mood was coming back.
Well, our team has been very resilient all year, Scooter. You know, a lot of people have counted us out throughout the year. You know, I mean, shoot, we were 1-8. People, you know, had written off the season. And our kids never have hung their heads and given up. I told you that throughout the year. So our flight going out there, the guys were enthusiastic. They were excited about going out there. I told them it was going to be an adventure. You know, people were upset. They were sending us all the way to the furthest part away from Baton Rouge. Hey, I told them, hey, it's a 4.5-hour flight on it. Fortunately, we had a charter flight. We didn't have to change planes and do everything else commercially. But I told them, you know, what's the difference if you're 4.5 hours at 30,000 feet or 4.5 hours on a highway? You know, it's the difference between driving to Ole Miss or flying to Eugene. It's the same thing, you know. They were excited about going. It was a new adventure. Most of these kids had never been outside of Louisiana, and you're going to a different part of the country. So they were excited about going out there. You know, and I'll tell you this, you know, we lost that first game. We didn't hit very well. We had 4 hits. We got shut out, and we had a quick turnaround, a 1 o'clock game after a night game the night before. I mean, I can't tell you that we showed up to the ballpark bouncing around like, you know, a bunch of water bugs. I had to have a little chat with the team that morning to try to inspire them a little bit. And we did, you know, and I think I struck a chord with some of the things we talked to them about. And we came out and played a tough Central Connecticut State team, but we played them hard, and we played them with the energy and enthusiasm, and we had a great victory. And once we had that victory, I think the team loosened up quite a bit and started to believe that they could do it. And I told them, you know, that with all due respect to Gonzaga, that Gonzaga was going to be a completely different team without that pitcher that they threw against us the first night. And Gonzaga had a good, you know, Gonzaga had, you know, that they had 9 position players and 1 starting pitcher. So 10-man lineup. They had 8 seniors in that lineup that we played against in the second game. So I said, I don't know what Gonzaga is going to come out and do against us, but they have 8 seniors in their starting lineup, that this could potentially be their last game. So I have to believe that Gonzaga is going to come out with fire in their eyes and play as hard as they possibly can. These kids don't want this to be their last game. So we knew that was going to be a battle. And of course, as soon as we were done with that one, you know, you're playing the host school that has a chance to win the regional championship that first night we played them. And if it wasn't for Javen Coleman, they might have been celebrating a regional victory that night. So now you're playing with house money at the final game. You know, hey, nobody expected us to get to the final game. And what a ball game that was. I mean, I've heard from so many people around the country that it was a tremendously entertaining game. I didn't see it that way while I was in the dugout. I can assure you that I just wanted to try to win the game. But after the game, I had people saying, man, that was a phenomenal game. I don't know if you guys saw it that way or not, but, you know, evidently a lot of people found it very entertaining. If I'd have known how the game was going to end, maybe I would have felt it that way throughout the game as well. But, yeah, the flight back, Scooter, I got to tell you this, there wasn't a word uttered. Everybody was sleeping the entire time. We were exhausted. It was a long 4 days, 5 games in 4 days, emotionally draining. We were exhausted. I know I didn't sleep a wink the last 2 nights there, and including after the final game. And you know, I slept better last night. I got a little bit of sleep last night, so I feel a little refreshed. But
yeah. So much for that angle on my story, but thanks.
Sorry, Scooter.
Way to shoot it down, Paul.
Scooter, you can just make something up. Go ahead.
He usually does.
I was going to do that anyway. But
Oh, do you want to talk about your pitching plans yet or not?
Not really.
The versatility of Drew Bianco. Gavin called him the Swiss Army knife, and I hadn't really made the Taysom Hill comparison just before he said that. But I mean, is that common amongst baseball players to be able to move around the field like that and be as resilient as they are?
I don't know. Maybe more so in college and professional baseball. Most the best players in high school usually play shortstop, and Drew Bianco was a high school shortstop. He also was a fullback. He also was a good basketball player. So Drew's a throwback. A lot of the kids that play multiple sports, they generally have more versatility in how you can use them. And when we recruited Drew, we thought he'd be our third baseman. We recruited him as a third baseman, and he struggled defensively over there as a freshman, and he struggled with the bat. We really were struggling to find a place for him. And this year I went to him and said, where do you think your best position is? And he said shortstop. So we put him at shortstop for a while there. Remember, he played it. I don't remember exactly how many games he started for us at shortstop. It seemed like maybe a half a dozen or so. And he did a pretty good job, actually. And then eventually we settled on Jordan Thompson. But I thought Drew did well at short. Once he started getting his confidence back and feeling like he could really contribute to the team, that's when we started thinking about him as a second baseman. And then one day I put him out there in the outfield. Well, we had played him in left field some, and I thought he had really good instinct out there. And then I put him out in center field one day, and right from the start, I just thought he got great jumps on the ball and took great angles on balls in center field. And frankly, I'm not so sure he doesn't play center field as good as anybody else we have out there. And he's done a tremendous job. I'm telling you, he thinks he's going to catch everything, and he doesn't care if there's a wall in the way or another player in the way. He wants to catch that ball. And I love him out there in center field. I'm very, very confident when the ball goes up in that direction that he's going to find a way to get to it.
Do you think that's just the coach's kid in him, those instincts? I mean, you've talked about instincts a lot with him now.
Instincts and toughness, competitiveness. Yeah, find a way to get the job done. Yeah, there's a lot of competitive zeal in his makeup. His DNA he's a pretty hard-nosed guy. He's tough.
Well, real quick, if I could, I know we've had you for a while, but with Gavin, the conversation y'all had there after his first at-bat against Oregon on Sunday, was that just one of those situations where you could tell, having coached someone as long as you had, that he just kind of needed a pep talk to kind of lock back in?
Yeah, I love the way Gavin described it as a pep talk. Thank you, Gavin. Such a nice kid. He is such a remarkable kid. I just love that kid so much. That's the thing I'm going to miss most about.
Oh, it wasn't a pep talk?
Yeah, it was a pep talk.
It wasn't a pep talk? Okay.
It was a pep talk. Yeah. Coach's job is to get most out of his players, Glenn. Pep talks come in different shapes and sizes and forms.
They have a lot of competitive zeal. Is that what you're telling us?
At that moment, he needed to have that competitive zeal emerge. We needed to get that competitive zeal to come out. He's a wonderful kid, Gavin. I'm telling you, I love him to death. I'm telling you, that's what I'm going to miss most about coaching is having kids like Gavin Dugas. Just love that kid. Gavin, at that point, Gavin was being a little too indecisive at the plate. I told him basically to quit being so uncertain of yourself and just get up there and look for a fastball and let it rip. You don't need to get the perfect pitch. You don't need to worry about your mechanics. Just see the ball and attack it. I think the next at bat, first pitch was a fastball, and he clobbered it.
as far as your pitching goes, is it availability is going to be the determiner?
Yeah. Rest, availability. We'll see how everybody feels, the next couple of days. But I feel really good about what our pitching did this whole weekend, Michael. So excited the way Will Helmers threw the ball. Garrett Edwards and Fontenot, Labas, Marceau, of course, Gavin Coleman. I mean, right on down the line. I thought Michael Fowler threw the ball really well, even though he gave up a couple runs there. There were a lot of guys that pitched extremely well. I think we took 12 pitchers. We used 11 of them. The only one that didn't pitch was Theo Millis. Trent Vittmeyer, let me throw him into that group. Yeah, he threw great. I thought we just pitched super all weekend. No chance we win that tournament playing 5 games if we don't pitch the way that we did all weekend.
The fact that you played 5 and didn't use all 12 is pretty impressive too. It's amazing. Blake Money just kind of, just got dropped down on the order there.
Yeah, he was the 13th guy. We had to draw the line at 12. See, throughout the year with the SEC, you could take 30 players. The NCAA limit is 27. So we had to trim the roster by 3 players. So that was really, really difficult.
This is more just housekeeping stuff, but did Beck just kind of go like as a support staff guy? How did that work?
Yeah, that was our athletic department allowed me to take him as an extra guy since he's kind of unofficially the captain of our team.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Paul, if you would have had to play on Friday, I'm thinking you probably wouldn't have pitched Landon on Friday, but you could maybe pitch Landon on Saturday or maybe hold him to Sunday, I guess. Right?
Glenn, I really prefer not to talk about our pitching if it's okay with you. Let's hold off on talking about the plans if that, I'd really prefer not to.
Okay.
I really need to just see how everybody's feeling. I'm not going to make any decisions today and maybe not even tomorrow. What's today? Today's Wednesday. Yeah. It may be Friday before we even decide who's going to pitch on Saturday.
Can you move the travel roster, or does it have to stay with what you took to Oregon?
Well, we're I didn't take Collier Cranford to Oregon either. I had to trim the roster even with the position players. So I will tell you that Mitchell Sanford hurt his back out in Oregon, and the news was not good on him. So he's been taken off the roster. He won't make the roster. It looks like he's out for the year. So Collier is back on the travel roster, and Mitchell Sanford will be off.
Did he travel back with you? Did Mitchell Sanford travel back with y'all?
He did.
Okay. His bag was left outside the stadium. When you said that, I was thinking, oh man, did he stay?
Oh, no. He traveled back, but he went and saw a doctor this morning and got some issues, so he won't be able to play the rest of the season.
Is Giovanni going to make the trip? Even though I think he's questionable?
He's going to make the trip, but he's doubtful. I would even call him doubtful. He certainly is not going to be able to run. He might be available as a pinch hitter, maybe available as a pinch hitter. But if we make it to Omaha, I think he might be able to be back at some point during the College World Series. So I'm going to go ahead and take him.
Was that a celebration casualty?
No.
Okay, good.
Who are you talking about?
Gio.
No, he pulled his hamstring running out of ground ball.
Okay.
Who was that against? Do you remember, Ashley? The
He didn't
second
play against Oregon.
It's the first game on.
No, he walked it off against Central Connecticut State, and then he tore it in the Gonzaga game.
Yeah, it was a Gonzaga game, second Gonzaga game. Midway through the game, when I moved Bianco from second to center and put Safford in, running out of ground out.
You heard the story of Lane Mestape that got hurt in the dog pile?
Yeah.
That's what flashbacks.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. We didn't even have a dog pile.
No, I know. Comparing it to history. Thank you.
Anything else? Sorry, Scooter. Scooter.
We're good.
Thanks.
All right.
Coach, are y'all still practicing today at 4?
5.
5. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.